I've been in a rut recently. 1 month ago was the worst point in my self-improvement journey. Everything was fading. My work was I didn't even meditate anymore, my sleep was lacking, and everything was just going to the ground. I didn't know what to do anymore. I knew that I could do better because 3 months ago I was at my highest productivity. I got everything done. I didn't even spend 10 minutes on social media per day and it was just perfect. My mental health was nice, my diet was nice, I was going to sleep at the same time every day, it was just perfect. But on that day, 1 month ago, it was horrible for me, and I decided to change that. If you've clicked on this video, then you likely had a similar situation to this. There will always be a down phase in your life when you're really going after a goal. But it is very respectable that you didn't give up, that you want to get out of the rut and go back to your prime productivity again. Because a lot of people sadly don't do that, they just give up. But you're strong, you want to get over it, and I was the same. And right now, I'm back into my prime productivity. I don't spend any time on social media, my work is going great, and everything just feels nicer. And the steps that I took weren't that hard actually. They were pretty easy to be exact. And in this video, I want to teach you these exact steps so that you can get out of a rut anytime you want to. The main problem why you're getting in a rut in the first place is your mental health. It doesn't matter if your work is going great. It doesn't matter if you have a good social life. Your mental health is the one thing that is holding everything together. And if you neglect it, then everything falls down step by step until you're at point zero. And we all know that because what has gotten us into self-improvement in the first place was maybe a depression, was that we didn't have good mental health, it was that we had a problem. And all of these problems go back to our mental health. We didn't feel happy, we didn't have a good life, we weren't motivated, we didn't have discipline. And all of that changed once we worked on our mental self, once we worked on our physical self, once we worked towards a better state of mind. So if you're in a rut right now, your work is shit, you don't get anything done, you're unmotivated, then guess what? You have neglected your mental state and are mentally at the same place where you were at the beginning. Of course, have you achieved more by now? You have maybe built up your body, you have maybe bettered your diet, you maybe had good sleep, but your mental state is still at the beginning. And if that is the case, you're gonna be stuck at that beginning. So to really get back onto self-improvement and to be more productive, you need to work on your mental health. And there are so many factors deciding how your mental health is. Whether you have a really shit diet that is creating mind fog, whether you don't have good sleep so that your recovery is shit, that you're just tired throughout the whole day and your motivation is just gone, whether you missed some social connection, just got into your room, worked on a lot of stuff and kind of burned out. There are so many factors that can influence your mental state that you very much have to look out for. And because you're in a rut right now, you have neglected one of these steps. But honestly speaking, you probably know that already. You know that not meditating anymore has caused your mental state to drop. Or maybe you started with bad habits again. You started with fapping again, and you can't stop. You've gotten onto social media and got lost on Instagram, on YouTube. And as you know, these things are detrimental when it's going by your mental health. So what you need to do now is to either get back onto your good habits or to get rid of your bad habits again. But when you've tried that, you feel that you're unmotivated, you're tired, you don't have any power to really go through it. And that is because of the mindset that you have adjusted yourself to. What do I mean by that? The one big mistake that I did is still thinking that I'm at that advanced point where I was before that downfall. I thought that I still could meditate for 30 minutes every day. And sure, for the first 2 days I could, but afterwards I didn't have any discipline to do it anymore. I thought that I could go back onto jogging 3 times a week again, but I couldn't because I didn't have the discipline anymore to do it. And that is a sad reality that you have to take upon yourself. You are further back than you were before that downfall. If you meditated for 15 minutes every day and then just stopped for 1 whole month, then you can't expect yourself to just start off where you were back then. You have to take the same steps that you did when you were at the beginning of self-improvement. Baby steps. I know, it's humiliating. It is not nice thinking about being at the beginning again, but you have to do it. You at least have to just do it for 1 week or 1 month. After that, you're still back at that place where you were before, but you still need to get yourself going again. And you can't do that by just starting off at an advanced point. You need to go back to a beginning step, no matter how bad that is. And that is what I did in the last month, or to be fair, in the last 3 weeks. Because in the first week, I didn't want to believe that truth. I didn't want to start at the beginning again. I had a higher ego. I could do this. I could work on a project for 8 hours a day. I could.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal.
But not at that point anymore. And that is why you have to start off with baby steps. As I said, you just have to do it for 1 week or 1 month. And afterwards, you're done with it. But this is one of the best steps to get back going. What can also help if you have a very well developed discipline is that you take drastic measures, a dopamine detox, a challenge that you do for X days. It doesn't matter as long as you do this to get back on track. As I said, you have to have good willpower, you have to have a very good discipline to go through that step again. But for most people, it has helped. For me, this was how I started my self-improvement journey, starting with a dopamine detox. It was f***ing hard, but it was also f***ing effective. It is kind of like the fast way to get back on track, even though it will still take 1 week or 1 month. And that is just a point that you can't get around to. You can't just change something today and then think that you are back on track tomorrow. Some people can, but likely they will burn out, because they've just taken on too much at that one time. But if you also want a very fast way to change your behavior, then you have to change your environment. And I don't just mean that you redesign your room. That is not the same thing as really going somewhere else. Okay, you can change the room in your house. If you go into the basement, if you go into the rooftop, it doesn't matter as long as you really go into another environment. Maybe you start working outside. Maybe you start working in the kitchen. It is pretty random, but it is also very effective at changing your behavior. Because when you think of that yourself, you know that your behavior is linked to all of the things that you have around you. If you had a very clean room, for example, then you also were very hygienic. Then you also could work better because your room was tidied up, you know where everything was, and you just felt better. If your room was dirty, if clothes were laying everywhere, if you didn't make your bed, if everything just looked horrible, then you couldn't work as much, then you couldn't focus, because everything wasn't adjusted to you getting onto work productively. For me, I've really designed my room to be work efficient. I've tidied up my desk, everything looks very nice, everything looks very clean, and I can work best in that state. But now you see I'm at my grandma's place again. And while it's also very tidy, while it also looks very nice, my behavior isn't the same as I would be at home, because I've changed my environment. So if you want to have the very fast way to changing your behavior and to getting back on track, then it is to change your environment. But look out, because it can't just better your behavior, but it can also worsen it. So when you want to get back onto self-improvement on your productivity streak, then listen out for these tips, but always keep in mind that you have to work on your mental state, because this is the one thing holding everything together. But if you still don't think that you're productive enough and want to take it to the next level, then watch this video right after.